Good day and welcome back to our classes today. This afternoon, we are going to be discussing the kingdom Protista. We've been coming gradually. We've discussed in our former videos the kingdom Monera, and today we are going to be discussing the kingdom Protista. Now, we know that the protists are eukaryotes and they are unicellular in nature. A lot of protists have cilia or pseudopodia or flagella that they use for their different movements. And a lot of protists are either heterotrophic or autotrophic in nature. Reproduction can either be by binary fission or through fusion of gametes. Now, there are four major phyla in the kingdom Protista. Those phyla are Euglenophyta, Protozoa, Chrysophyta, and Pyrophyta. Now, those are four major phylum or phyla that we can find in the kingdom Protista. Now, for the sake of our classes, we are just going to discuss two of the phylum or phyla that we have in this kingdom Protista. We will discuss the phylum Glenophyta and we'll also discuss the phylum Protozoa. Now, let's start with Protozoa. Protozoa, they are microscopic eukaryotes. They produce asexually through binary fission, and they are unicellular, and a lot of them are aquatic. Amoeba is a very well-known protozoa. It has a pseudopodia that it uses for locomotion. It has a nucleus that carries the genetic materials that it uses for all the activities of the cell. Amoeba has a contractile vacuole, and like we've said before, the contractile vacuole is for osmoregulation. So it regulates the amount of water that is in the cell and the amount of solute that is in the cell. Amoeba also has a food vacuole because amoeba feeds by engulfing. So as it moves around, it will use the pseudopodia to engulf any food material or particle that it wants to eat. And if it engulfs, that it wants to ingest, and if it engulfs this food material, it forms a food vacuole around this material. And that vacuole, hydrolytic enzymes are deposited by the lysosome into that food vacuole to digest whatever is there. So amoeba is a good example of our protozoa. We also have other protozoa such as paramecium, and we have trypanosome, which is also a protozoa. Now, the paramecium itself is also a popular protozoa, and some of the things the paramecium has is it possesses the cilia. The cilia is for locomotion, and this is important. This is thread-like structures that are all around the paramecium that is for locomotion. You have the contractile vacuole. Like we said, the vacuoles are for osmoregulation, so they regulate the amount of solute and water or solvent that is present within the cell. Paramecium has the cytoplasm, which is the gel-like substance in which all the metabolic activities take place. Paramecium has the food vacuole. When it ingests any material, it forms a membrane around this material, and that's the food vacuole. Paramecium has the anal pore, through which it excretes food materials that have been digested, and the one that is waste, it excretes them through the anal pore. Paramecium also has a cell mouth where it takes in materials from. It has a gullet too, it takes in materials from. It has a pellicle, which is within the structure of the paramecium, and that pellicle helps the paramecium with structure. It helps to give it structure and strength. The paramecium also has the macro and micro nucleus, which carry all the genetic materials that the paramecium has. So paramecium and amoeba are protozoa, and they are very important members of the kingdom Protista. Another phylum which we'll discuss is the Euglenophyta. Euglenophyta there's an organism there, Euglena viridis, which is very popular. Now, Euglena viridis is microscopic, is unicellular, and it has a flagellum or a flagella that it uses for its locomotion. This is very important. Euglena also has a gullet or a food passage. It has contractile vacuole for osmoregulation. Euglena has an eye spot. That eye spot, it uses it for detecting the intensity of light. If light intensity is too much, the eye spot tells the organism that the light intensity is too much, and the organism finds a way to move away from that intense light. So that is what the eye spot does. Now, Euglena is an interesting organism because it's an organism that is a hybrid between heterotroph and autotroph. It can feed on organisms by itself, and it can also generate its own food by itself. It has a pellicle also, like the paramecium has, and that pellicle helps it in its shape and structure. So like I said, the euglena can be holozoic in nature. It can swallow particles and use them for food, or it also possesses chloroplast that carries chlorophyll. So it is also able to produce its own starch, produce its own food and store it as starch. This is very important. Euglena has perenoids. Perenoids are structures in the euglena in which the starch is stored. The starch which has been produced by the euglena is stored in the perenoids. So euglena is a very important part of the kingdom Protista. It's of the phylum Euglenophyta, and it has its own unique structures and adaptations. It's very good to know all these things. As a biology student, I encourage you to learn the diagrams of all these organisms, learn their different diagrams, and learn how to draw the diagrams, how to label them correctly, so that you could get good marks. I'll leave pictures of the diagrams of paramecium, the diagrams of amoeba, the diagrams of euglena for us in this video. Please take time to learn these diagrams and put them to practice. Thank you for listening to this class, and have a wonderful day.